One dark day, the world fell into chaos, as monsters began pouring out of gates that appeared without any warning. Those who saved the world were called hunters, individuals who awakened to the power of the system. By clearing these gates, they grew in strength from 1 star all the way to 7 stars. 7-star hunters who reached the 9th star rank through the grace of constellations established powers known as the 7 Great Families. He was the first in human history to reach the 9th star rank without the grace of a constellation. He was called the Miracle of Japan. To the 7 Great Families and their constellations, a man like him, an unknown in their world, was judged to be a threat that could bring about the collapse of their order. Here in the east capital of Japan, a city is currently being consumed by hellfire, with nothing left. They came to kill him, a 9-star hunter. That is why all of these people have died. A member of the 7th grade family, a magical house vying for hegemony over Eurasia, is the main attacker. The Romanov family has made their appearance. The man holds an intricate-looking watch in his hand and breathes roughly, as one of his hands is gone from the incoming attacks. He damned Dmitri, who is standing right above him, noting that he did not expect a man who became a 9-star without a constellation's grace to finally meet his end here. This is the 9th star hunter, the incarnation of Odin's magic, King Dmitri Andreevich Romanov. The man spits out blood from his mouth and asks the reason for trying to kill him. Is it because he has not received the grace of a constellation? Or is it because he has refused to submit to the great families? Dmitri just laughed, noting that it's a bit of both. The constellations are clamoring for his death, so there is really no other way except to please them. If someone can be as strong as him all on their own, then what purpose do the constellations serve after all? An undead king who possesses power, rivaling the 7 great families and the constellations by himself, is nothing but a threat at the end of the day. Besides, the 7 great families already have their hands full keeping each other in check, right? This is the 9th star Necromancer, undead king, Ryoga Chinin. Ryoga tells Dmitri that this is a bunch of nonsense, but Dmitri does not believe so at all. As a necromancer, he naturally defies natural providence. By manipulating the dead, he tramples upon the natural order of the world. In a battle between 9 stars, the power of a constellation determines victory or defeat, but he chose a defiled power that defies their providence of life and death, and thus, he was forsaken by the constellations. That is the difference between them. Ryoga slowly gets up, noting that he certainly acts high and mighty with the power of Odin as his shield. But does he really want to know why he's been standing here quietly listening to his blabbering? Well, he will show him instead of answering that question. He summons his dark necrotic power and pulls a bunch of bones together using the dark magic regeneration ecliptic art, a transcendental technique called the Death Field. Dmitri sees what it is, a transcendental technique fueled by the souls of the fallen, to think that he still had so much power remaining. Then he will pay him in kind, and show him his strongest magic as well. He vows now, he will destroy even his soul so that nothing remains. Suddenly, Dmitri unleashes a mighty beam of light from his hand, and Ryoga recognizes this as the Eye of Odin. His death field will not stand a chance against that, so if that's the case, he really will die. Before he can do anything, Dmitri unleashes the attack, the absolute incantation, the Eye of Odin, a transcendental magic ability. The blast turns red at the sheer power it holds and charges through, but Ryoga just smiles. Since he is definitely going to die, he might as well try this. Dmitri wonders why he's just smiling, but that's when Ryoga pulls out the watch he's been holding all this time. This is an artifact capable of interfering with time itself. Kronos' pocket watch has detected the power of a constellation from Dmitri's blast. That entire blast goes into the watch, fulfilling the activation requirements of it. Now, player Ryoga Chinin will regress to his past. Ryoga thinks that the activation requirements for Kronos' pocket watch were for the player to be a 9-star, and to infuse the artifact with the power of a constellation. If he doesn't have the power of a constellation himself, he just had to borrow this, right? The blast suddenly pours out of the pocket watch, and Dmitri demands to know what he has done. Ryoga just tells him that the power of Odin, which he is so proud of, will be put to good use. He gives Dmitri the middle finger, and tells him that, as for the 7 great families, he will make sure to crush them all this time. With that, the pocket watch begins to turn back time itself. With a gigantic blast unlike anything anyone has seen before, Ryoga is sent to the past to his dimly lit room. He jolts out of his bed, holding his chest as the nausea of what has happened hits him. He looks around and sees that this is definitely the house where he used to live. It seems that it worked, although the watch is now broken. Rage still fuels his mind. That bastard Dmitri, trying to kill him for such a pathetic reason. He should just wait, as he will definitely pay him back in kind. The Kronos pocket watch has now become the broken Kronos pocket watch. 2 of the same relics cannot exist in a single dimension, so this is the only one. However, time cannot be wound back again at this current divergence point. Ryoga smiles. He did not expect it to activate even without the power of a constellation, which he was not contracted to. His gamble really paid off. It has been 23 years. This was shortly after he left the orphanage, right? The day the system suddenly appeared. Sure enough, the system appears in front of him. Noting that he has been chosen, and keeping his innate traits and talents in mind, he should choose a class that fits him. The system shows him all of his stats and his innate trait, which is clear mind. His heart remains unshaken in any situation, providing resistance to all sorts of mental attacks. The system then ushers him to choose a class from the three based on his innate traits: martial artist, mage, and priest. Ryoga's classes are available at the beginning. Before he regressed, he chose the magic path without giving it much thought, thinking that it would have been interesting, but there is no need to rush into choosing a class right away. This time, he will become much stronger and make sure that he survives until the very end. He's going to make full use of all the information he has as a 9-star hunter, even if he is not that anymore. He puts on his jacket and goes to Habara Hunter Market, where a clerk warmly welcomes him. She explains that here they have swords sourced from Magus Company, as well as rings crafted from new substances obtained from spires and other otherworldly alloys. Before she can even finish, Ryoga asks if she has the Ring of Dark Gloom. Surprising the clerk, she explains sheepishly that the thing he is requesting is a cursed item. Ryoga knows as such, and asks how much it is. With that, he walks away, having bought the ring, but the clerk adamantly told him that they cannot offer any guarantees for any losses incurred after the purchase. Even so, would he still like to buy it? Ryoga confirmed as such, and it's now in his hands. He guesses that's a fair reaction. Normally, no one would spend 2 million on a ring that inflicts every debuff imaginable. This is the Ring of Dark Gloom, a ring inhabited by the dark, murky shadows of the abyss. Equipping it will cause the wearer to be consumed by the mental curses inside. However, Ryoga puts it on. This thing hides a secret that nobody knows except him, for the one who repels the curse dwelling within the ring after they put it on. The knowledge and power of necromancy, the very foundation of a necromancer, shall be granted. He smiles as he puts it on, as this will be far too easy. Immediately, he is taken into his mental world and sees his curse, which naturally is Dimitri, who begins talking down to him once again, claiming that he is a monster who manipulates rotting flesh. Does he truly believe he can defeat him without the grace of a constellation? He should know that without the constellation's grace, he could not ever harm him. He is a necromancer forsaken by the gods. Even if he returns to the past, even if he gains all the power in the world, he will never be able to defeat him. He unleashes a mighty strike towards Ryoga, but he just smiles as Clear Mind activates, granting him total immunity from mental interference, allowing him to clear the trial of the dark gloom with ease. With that, the necromancer's power dwelling within has awakened, giving it to him. The way to break the curse of the Ring of the Dark Gloom is not to resist, because he knows that he was able to become the world's first necromancer. Damn it, he can't face the 7 great families without the grace of a constellation, huh? Then he'll just have to create one, a constellation that will choose him, a lowly necromancer. Along with the necromancer power, the Ring of Dark Gloom also increases in rank, becoming an epic. Now the system offers him a 4th option in choosing his class, a necromancer. This is a class that utilizes corpses and souls as mediums to exert its power. The first class selection bonus acquired is the Guide of Death trait, and his mana is converted to spirit power. The Guide of Death trait makes it so his spirit power consumption is reduced by 20% when casting and maintaining summoning magi. Ryoga thinks that this is a good start, as traits are always useful, and looks at his skills, seeing that he only has 2 usable ones, those being Raise Undead and Bone Control. Since he regressed, his rank is back to the beginning too. The necromancer's knowledge residing in the ring flowed into his head, allowing him to use these skills. However, it seems that he still cannot deviate from the levels and star ranks established by the system. As expected, he can grow stronger up to 7 stars by following the system's rules. However, he cannot reach the transcendent realm of 9 stars through normal means. Becoming a necromancer this early is really great. However, it is still not enough. His mind is on Dimitri as he needs a guardian star to defeat him, and that's what he wants to find. Thus, he takes a flight to the Temple of Cronus, where a lot of people are gathered. The ancient constellations, who lost their light after being defeated in the war against Zeus, and the gods of Olympus, reside here, while some operate as Titan constellations that have acknowledged the victory of Olympus, like the sun god Helios. Others are like the owners of this pocket watch, Cronus. Ryoga goes up to a podium and holds the watch in his hand, before raising it into the air and smashing it on the podium, making the entire world unravel. As if he were someone else, he is now in the realm of Cronus, and immediately, Cronus arrives, demanding who is the fool who acted so brazenly as to request an audience with him. Ryoga smiles, and notes that he is glad to meet him, that deposed king of Titans, Cronus. Cronus watches him more closely and sees that he has his pocket watch in his hand, which is now broken. He asks if he was the one who turned back time, and Ryoga confirms as such. He can't really hide it now, can he? Cronus is impressed. To successfully regress, he must have been quite the powerhouse for a human, right? But why did he awaken him like this? Ryoga thinks about it. Cronus is the father of Olympus, the god who swallowed his sons after hearing a prophecy that the Titan gods would be destroyed. But having lost everything to Olympus, he is now a forgotten name. There is simply no way the flames of revenge against Olympus are not burning in his chest. Ryoga asks if he wants revenge, and Cronus asks what he means. Ryoga explains that if he becomes his guardian star, he will help him have his revenge. For a mere human to interject in matters way beyond his own insignificant life, for someone without the power of Olympus to tell him to submit, does he realize how brazen he sounds? Ryoga clenches the watch and notes that he can see it for himself. Can he not? He reached 9 stars without any constellation's blessings. Besides, Zeus is among the best he wants to enact his revenge on. Not just the Romanov family, but all the 7 great families who turn a blind eye are his enemies. So he will take them out one by one. If he destroys the Karamanli family, who hosts the constellations of Olympus as their guardian stars, the constellations of Olympus themselves will lose their influence on Earth. Cronus laughs. For bringing up his revenge, his ambitions are quite small. He may be skilled enough to activate his pocket watch, but to think someone seeking a constellation's blessing from him would walk the path of a necromancer. Even after regressing, he should know he is not compatible with powers that defy providence. A necromancer's nature is completely different from his. Ryoga confirms as such. As the god of time, there is nothing else they can do, but as the god of harvest, this is a different story entirely. Depending on the strength, constellations form guardian star contracts with hunters who resonate with their origin and nature. Cronus presides over harvest and time. The scythe, a symbol of harvest, is also the symbol of the Grim Reaper. Harvest and the Grim Reaper share a common nature, the cycle of death and rebirth. In other words, defying providence. Cronos started getting angry. To think that he would link him to the nature of death. How arrogant can he be? Does he not fear for his own life? The entire realm shakes as Cronus screams. But Ryoga tells him that this is not the time to be saying things like that. Does he plan on living out the rest of his days having lost both his power and name? If he is fine with being weaker than the very constellations of Olympus, then so be it. However, he came here believing he would choose revenge, even if it means changing his very nature. He can regain his power with him, and they can overthrow Olympus together. Ryoga really is at his wit's end. If he can't do this, he will be at death's end. Cronus smiles. He is right. He has not forgotten his revenge even for a moment. Then he will test him on whether or not he can truly become the power. Turning the god of harvest into a being that defies providence is something of immense hardship. He does realize that revising his nature will be accompanied by considerable agony, right? If he can endure this pain, then he will become his guardian star. Ryoga is surprised that things are happening so suddenly and fast, and Cronus puts a hand over him, appointing him as his proxy and saint. Ryoga is a bit surprised as he hears this, as a saint receives holy power as the divine proxy of a constellation, the dark attribute of a necromancer and the holy attribute of a saint. These are 2 opposing attributes that are now clashing inside his body. If he loses consciousness now, he'll never have another chance to get a guardian star, so he has to endure it. He begins doing so, looking up at Cronus, not willing to give this up for anything in the world. Eventually, Ryoga arrives back in Japan, noting that those planes that go to the mountains really are the best. Cronus, which is now beside him in a chibi version, notes that the world has changed quite a lot. The flow of time is truly a great and cruel thing. Does he not think so? Ryoga sees his new title, a new star rising in the pantheon, the Harvester, the giant who defies heaven. Ryoga can't believe he's acting so high and mighty when he can't grant a single blessing. But even though Cronus has returned to being a constellation, he has no worshippers, so he hasn't regained his power or blessing as a constellation yet. He seems rather happy. He merely forced him into the mold of a Grim Reaper saint, using the shared concept that he returned to being a constellation. He lacks any anecdotes of defying providence, so to regain his power as a constellation, they need to start building them up from now on. Cronus notes that he has been resurrected after a long time, so it is only natural that he feels deeply moved. Since he went through the trouble of making him a saint, from now on, he will spread his name far and wide, right? Now Ryoga is stuck in this unprecedented situation. Priest and saint are top-tier classes. Just when he thought he was suddenly pouring power into him, something strange happened. He did not turn him into a priest per se. He has gained the Saint of White Knight trait, which increases holy spell efficiency by 30% and offers no class penalty when using necromancer skills. And additionally, Holy power to spirit power conversion is now possible. All priest and magic type equipment can also be used. He also gains the Life Drain Holy spell, which absorbs the target's life force, which can be used for physical enhancement and healing. A saint relies on holy power. However, a necromancer relies on spirit power. To wield two heterogeneous powers simultaneously, he has never heard of such a thing ever. Being a necromancer and a saint's holy skill user at the same time is way too overpowered. Cronus thinks so too. A saint is the proxy of a guardian star. It is not like he chose him without putting any thought into it. Ryoga understands it was calculated from the beginning, right? He thinks a bit about where to go next. But around this time, an old gate would be best. The ancient garden is the perfect place to test his new powers. That same day, he goes to a gate that connects to other dimensions. Gates are classified as fluid and disappear once the boss and core are defeated and fixed, which means they are permanent. This ancient garden is a fixed type. You need to be only 1 star to enter, and it has a mana density of 52%. Because its form is fixed, the ancient garden has an entry-level limit of 1 star, so it's easy for novice hunters to enter. Everyone around him seems to be rather busy looking for a party, something he used to do as well, though he never ended up in any decent teams because of his lack of skill. He is approached by a group of 3, with the leader asking if he would like to join them if he is alone. Ryoga immediately denies, noting that he is good, and the leader, looking sheepish, backs off. He wonders if it would be okay if this guy went on his own, as he looks like a brand new hunter. One of his group, a woman, asks why he is even concerned about it. He turned them down, so there is no need to worry, right? Ryoga didn't accept because at this level, 1 person is more than enough, and he is going to test out his new skill as well. He immediately enters the ancient garden, which is pretty lush and quiet. In times like this, the standard pattern is for something to jump out at him. Sure enough, a goblin tries to ambush him from behind, but he had heard it a while ago. As the goblin tries to strike him, he simply sidesteps the attack and grabs the goblin by the neck. He thanks him for going out of the way and coming to get killed like this. He activates his inherent trait, White Knight, and converts his power into holy power. He then uses Life Drain, which begins to slowly drain the life from the goblin. He feels a strange sensation when using holy power. It's similar to spiritual power, although it's slightly more centered. He continues to drain the life from the goblin, but suddenly, he is hit by a new wave of feeling. The system congratulates him for absorbing the goblin's life force and increases his basic stats by 0.1%, his agility and strength to be exact. He thinks that this is pretty insane. If he kills them with Life Drain, his stats go up? Since the bonus for a level up is 5 points, does that mean killing 25 goblins is the same as gaining 1 level? Kronos makes himself known and laughs, asking Ryoga if he likes this. He says, "So this is a rather incredible ability." Kronos enjoys this praise and tells him to go further. Ryoga admits once again he is right about this one, even if he doesn't like to admit it. Now that Ryoga has a corpse, it's time to begin what he really came here for. He uses Raise Undead on the goblin, and immediately the life-drained, lowly beast begins to come to life as a mindless but quick zombie. All of its stats are increased by 97.2%, giving it a lot more power than if it was alive. Ryoga thinks that with this, he can pull his own weight in the ancient garden. As if summoned by chance, 3 more goblins appear from behind, ready to strike with their very brutish short knives. Ryoga thinks that this is a perfect chance for a combat test, so he tells the zombie goblin to go immediately. The zombie goblin charges in and sinks its teeth into one of the goblins, putting it on the ground as it continues to consume it. One of the other goblins tries to strike the zombie, but the attack barely does anything. Ryoga sees that they are freaked out because it won't die, but it's a zombie, so it won't die even if they strike the vitals. Seeing that they are scattered and confused, Ryoga uses this opportunity to suck the life out of another, giving him another small stat boost. The one who is left alive falls on his ass, not knowing what to do against such evil power. Seeing this, the zombie goblin moves in and kills him on the spot. A very short time later, Ryoga wonders if he can absorb the life force of something that is already dead, and it seems to actually work even on a corpse. Life Drain has a wide range of tolerance after all. In that case, they should pick up the speed. Among necromancers, there is a maxim that is passed down. As long as one can defeat the first foe, the goal is already half achieved. Basically, it means that creating the first undead is the hardest part. Now he has 3 more. Once he has cleared this hurdle, everything has become much easier. With these 4 zombie goblins, he thinks that this is it. This is why he loves playing as a necromancer. He sends them to charge at the goblins that just came to attack them, and they begin doing so. One of them actually manages to hit a zombie through its chest with the knife, but the zombie doesn't react at all, and instead sinks its teeth into the goblin's nape. Cronus notes that, as his contractor, he should show a bit more dignity in battle. but Ryoga tells him to get used to it. This is how a necromancer fights, after all. In a few minutes, he reaches the maximum number of undead he can command right now, and immediately puts them to work, making them chase after the live goblins, who are running away for their lives. Suddenly, though, someone unleashes a fire arrow on the live goblins, and Ryoga tells his zombies to wait. He then speaks out to the person who shot the arrow, telling them to stop hiding and come out. The people who come out of hiding are the ones who invited him into the party, who are now a bit weary and wonder who he even is. Cronus sees Ryoga's shocked expression and asks what's wrong. Ryoga was looking so strangely because he thought he recognized them from somewhere. These guys are the twin shadow hunters, the ones who tried to assassinate him before he regressed. These are the twin shadow hunters, Yuma and Yuka Rendo. They were famous for hunting fraternal twins. Dealing with them was a pain in the past, but Cronus thinks they don't look that strong. Ryoga would tend to agree. They're both still 1 stars at the moment. Also, he feels like there were only 2 of them back then, not 3. Cronus thinks it might be a good idea to take them out now and not let them become enemies in the future, but Ryoga denies this idea. They only took an assassination request, and there wasn't a direct grudge between them after all. Yuma interrupts his thought and asks if the zombie next to him is his summon. Ryoga expected as such. It will be a while yet before the Necromancer class becomes widely known to the public, so he explains that yes, it is his summon. He looks down at one of the defeated goblins and thinks that it's been a big help, since he needs someone to carry his bags. Most people become hunters for the money anyway, so he might be able to use them. He asks if they would like to work for him. He wants to put them in charge of mana stone collection. The split would be 8 to 2. He will defeat the enemies so they can get some nice pocket money. Isn't that a pretty good deal for them? To answer his question, they huddle up and try to decide what to do. Yuka tells Yuma that he cannot trust a guy like that, and the other guy agrees he has never even heard of a hunter who summons zombies out of anything. Ryoga yawns and thinks that this conversation is taking forever. However, Yuma turns around and decides that they will do it. In exchange, he should make the split 5 to 5. Even then, their individual take could only be 1.7 stones each. Ryoga immediately denies it and notes that he will lower it to 7 to 3. If that's not good, they can forget they had this conversation. Yuma immediately agrees, and the other guy, Haibara, asks if he's sure about this. Yuma tells him not to be scared and that he should trust him. Anyway, if this guy intended to attack them, they would be dead already. He entered the gate without any equipment. On top of that, he has absolute confidence. Just by his posture alone, if they follow him, he is sure they can earn a lot more than usual. With that, they begin collecting stones, but it eventually becomes too much. Haibara is on the ground, not able to walk anymore, and Yuka has reached her limit as well. Yuma adds a few more stones to the already gigantic pile and thinks that he knew this guy really wasn't ordinary. But this is beyond anything he would have imagined. He's making goblins look like pests, and the ones that he's fighting cower more than usual. Ryoga points the 3 towards more corpses, and they need to make sure they collect everything. But Yuma wonders if they could take a break soon, as they're getting pretty tired. Another one of his zombies takes down a goblin, and Ryoga notes that he has more money lying down here too, but he did not mean to rush them. They can take their time if they want to. The 3 just kind of look at him, thinking that he really is not human at all. With things mostly cleared up, Ryoga decides to check his stats, and sees that they have grown quite a lot. They went up by a total of 21.2 after only 3 hours of diving. If he continues at this rate, these specs are generally equivalent to a level 4. Life Drain really is an efficient and cheat skill. Since he has leveled up as well, it's probably time to take down the boss. They eventually arrive at the boss, who is a shaman and can speak. He notes that a bunch of foolish humans have arrived at his doorstep. It seems that they are seeking their death. Ryoga, however, isn't scared at all and pushes him. It seems a moronic goblin is acting like he is the king of the mountain, even though he barely has a heel to stand on. Yuka approaches Ryoga and tells him that the goblin shaman is the boss of the south. It would be better not to provoke him too much, as they might not be equipped to defeat him. The goblin shaman got annoyed at Ryoga's words and tells his goblins to make that human kneel and bring his head to his throne. In response, Ryoga seeks his zombies and tells them to feast on everyone until even the bones are gone. The first zombie that charges in tries to take a bite out of a metal plate a goblin has, and with this advantage, the goblin takes out the zombie, leaving Ryoga with only 19 summons. However, he immediately revives the zombie, stitching him back in place like nothing ever happened, and he rips off the goblin's hand. Now knowing what to do, Yuma wonders how this is happening. Even though they are being outnumbered, is he really turning the corpses into summons? Seeing this happen, the goblin shaman gets out from his throne and begins chanting, making a bunch of totems in the ground vibrate and encourage the goblins, giving them a stat boost. The shaman explains that his totems inflict debuffs on enemies and provide buffs on allies. Ryoga just sends his zombies to snap the totems apart and asks him to repeat what he just said. The goblin shaman gets really ticked off and asks how a human dares to touch his precious totems. The totems are rather undefended on the ground, so the zombies simply shatter them with ease. Seeing his frustration, Ryoga pushes him further, wondering if he has any tricks. Annoyed as all hell, the shaman unleashes his final skill, the incarnation of madness, which pushes a bunch of hot air around everyone and gives his goblins a 50% increase in strength and agility. With this, they begin to systematically dismantle the zombies all around, until there are only 8 left, and only their bodies on the ground. Ryoga understands. So this is the limit of his trump card, huh? The goblin shaman asks if he saw that this is the bone staff he crafted by infusing it with the grudges of all goblins. Ryoga, though, smiles. He said his staff is made out of bone, huh? That's an upgrade for him. Immediately, he uses bone control and simply rips the totem away from the goblin shaman's hands, interrupting the incarnation of madness. The goblin shaman asks how he did that, and because the goblins have awakened from their madness as a backlash, their strength and agility have been decreased by 50%. Ryoga wonders what's wrong. Why isn't he using that favorite incantation of his anymore, huh? Ryoga didn't expect the stuff to come so quickly. Is it because of the lingering grudges in it? He can have it back if that's what he wants. He suddenly sends it flying, pointed tip ahead, towards the shaman, and it flies straight into his neck, killing him in an instant. Ryoga immediately uses life drain, and gets a bit more stats than the usual goblin. Since he is the boss, the yield must be pretty decent, right? Suddenly, though, he remembers something, and crouches down to the goblin shaman, filling a bottle with his blood. He nearly used up all the blood for life drain, but he will need this for later. He inconspicuously puts it in his jacket, and tells Yuma that he will leave the cleanup to them. Are they really supposed to clean up all of this? Eventually, they come out of the portal into the real world. Ryoga seems as refreshed as ever, but the others look like they're on death's door. Still, a bit of an opening clears out for them as they walk. People are surprised that they are holding so many mana stones. It only took 4 people to take down that many monsters? After they clear out the people, Ryoga turns to them and notes that they did a good job. Should they take the mana stones to a shop in Natsuhabara? Yuma thinks otherwise. If they want to get a fair price, it's better to bring them in themselves. That is, if he is willing to trust them with the entire load. Ryoga wonders if he's asking if he would just trust people he made a few hours ago like that. But Yuma pleads with him, noting that they work pretty hard. Ryoga tells him to relax, that it was actually a joke, but how much does he think it will all sell for? Judging from a glance, Yuma thinks that it's about 6 million, give or take. Ryoga takes out the stuff he got from the shaman, and Yuma guesses that this is probably worth next to nothing. The requirements and options are kind of lackluster. This is the stuff of grudges. It has a restriction that it can only be equipped by priests. It is a cursed staff crafted by infusing the grudges of numerous goblins. It grants immense spiritual power when equipped, but erodes the user's psyche, and it has a spiritual power consumption of 12%. Even if it boosts spiritual power, only a priest can equip it, and priests can't even handle spiritual power, so it's useless. Ryoga asks if he can have it if that's the case, but Yuma wonders if he would really want something like that. Ryoga confirms as such, and tells them to just deduct it from his share when they settle the bill. Yuma refuses, saying they wouldn't have even gotten this item without him, and they would just settle the payment as if that never dropped. Everyone is alright with it too. With that, he begins walking away, noting that their name was the Rookies, right? They should dive together again tomorrow if that's the case. Sure enough, the next day, they enter the ancient garden again, and Ryoga puts them to work once more, until they are all dead tired. Yuma thinks they can't do any more today, and their bags are completely full too. Ryoga tells them to go ahead if that's the case, but he continues staying inside the garden. Kronos notes that he sent them back on purpose, and Ryoga confirms as such. From here on out, he doesn't want anyone to witness what he is about to do. He goes to the north side of the ancient garden, where immediately upon entry, he is ambushed by a bunch of frogmen, but his zombie goblins immediately charge in to defend him. One of them bites the hand of a goblin frogman, but the frogman just impales him with his spear, ending the zombie's life. They continue taking them down like this systematically, because frogmen have higher stats than goblins. It was bound to end up like this, so he decides to help a bit. He uses bone control to send the staff flying, but because frogmen are naturally oily, they reduce his piercing attack. The one he just attacked just grins at him, seeing this. Ryoga charges in and pushes the staff in by himself, injecting spiritual power to increase the physical piercing damage of the staff. He continues doing so, taking out one frogman after another with practiced ease, manipulating the staff while maintaining undead. This consumes way too much spiritual power, making him pretty tired already. However, even if he is shaking, he can still handle this. He summons the frogman, as his undead, and uses them to level up to level 6. At this rate, he will be back at his peak in no time. The Magic King will not have to wait for long. He is coming to kick his ass much sooner than he even expected. They go to a pretty secluded spot in the forest with a large pillar-like thing in the middle. Ryoga pulls out a green heart. Cronus asks what exactly he's planning on doing, and Ryoga tells him to keep it down as he is trying to focus. If he drops the goblin shaman's blood on the frogman's heart, something should happen. Sure enough, the moment he does so, the heart begins to swell and glow with a strange energy. He has unraveled the hidden secret of the ancient garden. He will now be moved to the ancient proving grounds. He is sent there with his army of frogmen, thinking that he never managed to find this before his regression. But here he is now. Suddenly, another portal appears. It's the thing he needs to defeat to prove his courage and potential within the proving grounds. This thing is a reward in and of itself. His new prey, a Dragonian, the ancient proving grounds 1. It's a trial created by the constellations of the Pantheon to weed out elite hunters. It is commissioned to the Dragon Legion. Elite soldiers belonging to the Dragon Legion have been stationed here for this trial. Like this Dragonian, Cronus chuckles a bit. He and his pathetic strength won't be able to last 10 seconds against this thing. He supposes he will have to start looking for a new saint already. Ryoga thinks that's not going to happen. Even for a dragonkin, his power should be scaled down to match a 1-star. Then again, that does not mean this will really be easy. The Dragonian takes a step toward Ryoga but tells him to stop, as he has to finish the modification. The Dragonian just sits there, wondering what to do, but Ryoga tells him that in stories, even the villains wait for the protagonists to finish their transformation, right? That is a given. He unleashes his power on the frogmen and modifies them, letting them become plague zombies, as when using Raise Undead. If the conditions are met, the summon will be generated as a plague zombie. Cronus is pleased to see the on-the-spot modification, but Ryoga tells him not to forget he was a necromancer in his past life. Alright, that's enough talk. Then he should come at him. The Dragonian gets annoyed and charges in, its mighty claws out for maximum effect. The plague frogmen all jump the Dragonian and slowly but surely begin to seep their poison into its scales. The Dragonian punches them away, but he is hit by acid poison, which is a level 12 ability. Ryoga has converted all the strengths of the frogmen, which have already doubled after becoming zombies, directly into poison. His strength and agility might have dropped, but that poison should be lethal. The Draconian stamps his foot in the ground and charges at the owner of these zombies, who notes that he's a tough one. Surviving a hit of acid poison like that, he injects spiritual power into the Staff of Grudges, making its defensive abilities better for a time, and shields himself, allowing the Dragonian to pummel his shield again and again. Even with his poison resistance, this guy is still extremely strong. Eventually, his shield breaks, allowing the Dragonian to charge directly at him again. But Ryoga simply uses bone control and sends his flying staff right into the Dragonian's hand, who hisses out in pain. Using this distraction, he sends out the plague frogmen, who begin to seep their poison into the Dragonian, who can just stand there at this point. However, he still tries to take out one frog after the other. Ryoga respects his warrior spirit. It is not a bad last-ditch effort, but this is the end. Sure enough, the Dragonian falls on his knees, completely defeated, and Ryoga approaches him slowly. He begins using Life Drain, and after he is done, he clears the ancient proving grounds. Cronus is impressed to think he would overwhelm a Dragon King with nothing but a horde of crude undead. That was a rather impressive display. Ryoga already told him that he wasn't dying here, and for his reward, he gains the Crest of Endurance, which reduces damage delay by 40% and increases mana realignment by 20%. It mitigates stun states upon taking damage and improves concentration. This is a permanent passive buff. Ryoga is pleased with this, but the real reward is something else entirely, a Dragon King corpse. This is the ultimate material for a high-grade undead. Cronus is curious. What does he plan to make with that body? Ryoga explains that he is going to make a summon that transcends its original form. He is not letting these materials go to waste. To do that, though, he will need some proper alchemical tools. If he remembers correctly, that guy should have opened his alchemy shop around this time, right? He goes to the Kishu prefecture and finds an empty-looking building, noting that this place hasn't changed a bit, even in the foreseeable future. Suddenly, an explosion rips out of the building, and Ryoga notes that things really never change. A blonde man with a lab coat comes out, exactly who Ryoga was searching for. This is the man who established the formula for the world's first mass-produced mid-tier potion, the figure who would become the most renowned alchemist in the country. This is the greatest alchemist, Renya Shinya. Ryoga approaches him and asks if he has a moment. Renya doesn't really mind, but who might he be? This is a private research lab. Ryoga introduces himself and notes that he came here hoping he would let him use some of his alchemy tools. Renya immediately recoils, and Ryoga knows that he really doesn't have to look so blatantly disgusted. it will not be a one-sided deal either. He is currently researching a formula to mass-produce mid-tier health potions. Isn't that right? Renya wonders how he knows that, but Ryoga just walks inside, noting that he will help him finish. Sure enough, he stabilizes the potion immediately, and Renya is shocked. It was so volatile it could have exploded at any second, but he just did it like it was nothing. Ryoga thinks that, of course, he wouldn't know it yet. After all, this is something he won't discover for another few years at least. Ryoga thinks that they should put it to the test, and gives himself a small cut before pouring the potion onto it, which immediately clears it up and heals it completely. Renya goes to grab the flask, wondering if he really did it after all this time, but Ryoga doesn't let him grab it twice, and asks if he's curious about the formula. Renya confirms as such, so Ryoga notes that if that's the case, how about he lends him a hand just for a little while? It's just that he looks rather interested. He came here to borrow some alchemy tools, but how about they change the terms? Why doesn't he work with him outright? He will teach him potion recipes and a lot more. In exchange, the royalty split will be 60-40. Naturally, Ryoga will take the 40. Ryoga thinks that, judging by his expression, he's already fallen into his trap. From now on, this guy is his partner, or rather, his laboratory tool. Ryoga then summons the Dragonian corpse out of the ring of dark gloom, and Renya wonders what the hell that could be. Ryoga explains that he's a necromancer, so he's thinking of processing it into a special corpse. If he is that curious though, he should stop peeking and help him out. Renya gently slams a flask he's been twirling around on the table. Why should he? They haven't even signed a contract yet, have they? He's only letting him use this extra space while he's thinking about it. As he storms over, Cronus notes that this man is incredibly cautious. He wants to tell him to man up and just make a decision already. Ryoga notes, though, that it's understandable given what he's been through. He was a researcher for DICEI, the nation's largest corporation, and achieved great results as such. But his boss stole all of the credit for himself, so he was eventually forced to resign. It's no wonder he has grown distasteful of others. Cronus just sighs. Honestly, this human world is nothing but betrayal and obsession. Ryoga notes that the gods really are no different. He guesses that Renya is hesitant to sign because he isn't sure of his skills, right? Then why doesn't he help him for a bit and see for himself? He offers him a spoon, and Renya reluctantly takes it, agreeing to help him out just this once. Ryoga then gives him instructions. 5 F-rank mana stones at a ratio of 42%. Renya does it incredibly fast, making Ryoga think that this guy is definitely the right person for the job and the one to keep chained. Using the liquid Renya created as a catalyst, he carves magical formulas into the bones of the Dragonian and his, and he seals them with curses to enhance the undead's performance. He must layer the formulas and curses multiple times. However, it's a repeat process over and over and over, which seems to do something to Renya's psyche, but Ryoga doesn't react that much. When he is finished, he notes that it ended sooner than he expected. This might be a new record for him. Renya thinks that it's been 3 days. Is he kidding? He wonders who exactly this man even is. He is only a 1-star, yet he can resurrect a corpse hard with pure mana. His methods defy common sense, but his skill really is undeniable. He thinks about it for 60-40, then he will accept that original proposal. Ryoga asks if he is sure, and Renya tells him that it would have taken him 2 years to finish a mid-grade healing potion on his own. But with him here, things are different. If it helps his research, then he has no reason to refuse. Ryoga smiles, and knows that he looks forward to working with him as his exclusive servant alchemist. Now all that is left is to find the core soul of an eldritch dragon. He calls Yuma, and notes that the payment he received went through. He didn't think he would transfer everything down to the last sender, though. He is an honorable man. Since they are on the subject, though, would he be interested in another job? Near the boundary of the ancient garden, Ryoga meets up with the rookies, who strike a pose, but he doesn't even look at them and tells them to follow. As they do, Yuma wonders why he would want to come to such a dangerous place. Ever since the northern gate collapsed, this area should still be crawling with monsters. Ryoga smiles, noting that he just wanted to pay his respects to an old acquaintance of his. He wanders around to see if it's around here, and eventually, they are met with an orc, which is a 2-star monster. The rookies immediately get into position, thinking that this is too dangerous, but Ryoga wonders if they really don't trust his abilities, considering what they've seen. He might as well test the performance of these processed bones, though. This is a ghoul bone, which is processed, a masterpiece created by imbuing bones with spirit and refining them into a magical tool. Using bone control, he sends one of these bones flying towards the orc. Seeing this, the orc launches his own spear at the bone, aiming to crush it before it can come to him. Ryoga thinks that this was a good plan, but he doesn't want to waste any resources. Using bone control, he makes the bone side step and roughly enters the orc's shoulder. Ryoga was aiming for the heart, actually, but still, this is quite durable. The orc gets annoyed and pulls out the bone from his shoulder before charging in at Ryoga. The combat continues, and Yuma has protected him with his shield, which he appreciates, since the orc shook off one bone. How about 3 then? He seeks 3 bones on the orc, who doesn't really know what to do against them, so he gets impaled right through the heart, killing the orc instantly. Yuma is shocked. This guy just killed a 2-star orc just like that? Ryoga tells him not to just stand there and keep up, as the real work begins now. Yuma wonders if this is the right way, as Ryoga said there was a fool around here. Ryoga resurrects the orc into a zombie, and confirms it as such. The person they are looking for is in the orc settlement. While they're at it, they can make some money too. Isn't it perfect? Don't they agree? Judging by their faces, they really don't. After taking down orc after orc after orc, Ryoga levels up to level 13. He exceeds the limit for stats that can be absorbed from a single race, so he is no longer able to absorb stats from orcs. It would have been weird if this were infinite. He could have just farmed here for the rest of his life and become a god. Since the sun is going down, it's probably enough hunting for a day. He turns around to tell the others that they should make camp, but the rookies have already done so. They are pretty prepared, although it's already been their 3rd day with him. That night, he explains that his stats have gone up a fair bit, so tomorrow they will head to the settlement. The rookies understand, and they cheer the zombie orcs up before going to bed, as naturally, they are on guard duty, as the orcs defend, and the rookies sleep. Ryoga looks at the moon like a Sigma lone wolf, thinking that his level went up, so he supposed it's time to read the newly unlocked knowledge, right? He accesses the Library of Knowledge, where you can view the knowledge left behind by the previous Lord of Death. He picks up a book, but he does not have permission to view this knowledge, as it has a level 45 or higher. He still can't read much due to the system's restrictions, only useless stuff like a guide for 1 star, when he already reached the 9-star before. He still has to read it, right? He picks up a bunch of books he can read, and begins to read them methodically, taking in any new information. With that, he acquires a new skill. That morning, as Hybara sleeps, he wakes up with a shadow over him, which is the shadow of a zombie orc, although it looks a lot more different. Seeing this, he immediately skids awake, with Ryoga noting that he sees it every day. Isn't that a bit of an overreaction? Yuma doesn't think so, as these guys look completely different from yesterday. Ryoga confirms as such, and says he modified them a bit. They are now armored zombies, undead with superhuman strength, clad in bone armor. They boast overwhelming power and endurance. They have the bone armor passive, which transforms bone into armor to be worn, and flesh riding, allowing manipulation of flesh attached to a corpse. With this, Ryoga is confident that they should head to the orc settlement, as it won't be that hard. They arrive there just as the sun falls, and immediately upon seeing them, the guard standing watch at the watchtower rings the bell, making all the orcs know that enemies are here. A few come out of the settlement ready to take down their enemies, but Ryoga uses bone control, and shatters the bell entirely before grabbing the bone back. They really should all stop making a fuss. Seeing this, a much larger orc with a battle axe roars at his comrades, and another few orcs begin to rain down arrows on them, which Yuma protects them against. Yuka then uses her scoped crossbow to unleash a mighty volley of fire arrows at the incoming orcs, taking down a few of them. Cronus thinks that this is not bad. These guys are quite helpful. Ryoga tends to agree. It's going to grow even more from here on out though. Seeing that they don't have a chance at a ranged position, the orcs charge into melee, but Ryoga just tells his zombies to charge. Since they are so powerful and a lot bigger than normal orcs, one punch is able to take down 3 orcs at once. This is better than he expected. Reading those books in the Library of Knowledge last night really paid off, as these guys really are completely terrified. However, this is just the beginning. He summons his entire army of bone orcs towards the normal ones, and they begin fighting in earnest. The orcs, however, hold their own, and when the armored zombie's armor gets damaged, Ryoga immediately repairs it, putting them back at square one. He also uses flesh riding, allowing any pieces of flesh that have fallen from the zombies to charge at the orcs and annoy them incredibly. Yuma is shocked. He's using the zombies' flesh to stop the orcs' movements. This person really isn't just strong. His skill usage is in another league of its own. Eventually, the only one left standing is that large orc with a battle axe. He looks at Ryoga with an annoyed face and suddenly begins to grow as he activates Berserk mode, evolving him into a special variant. Ryoga just laughs, noting that he was actually getting tired of waiting for him to do that. The Berserker orc roars in fury and goes to crash his massive axe down on Ryoga, but he simply uses bone control and sends a bunch of reinforced bones toward the Berserker orc. Most of them hit, making him wail in pain as he falls to his knees. He tells Ryoga to take these bones out and try to do something on his own, but Ryoga can't really let him do that. He pushes the bones in further, using more of his spirit power, and notes that he is not the only one heading for the grave anyway, so he should quit being gloomy. He gets to die with his comrades. The continuous drain is still on, taking out 40% of his spirit power, just as he thought juggling 6 bones at once is a total drain on his resources. If he pulls out even one of them now, this guy will be back on the move. He has to pierce his heart in one shot. He uses bone control once again, taking out 68% of his spirit power, but the large bone he used penetrates the berserker orc's chest, ending the fight. Although Ryoga is extremely tired, a trickle of blood falls down the corner of his lips. He uses life drain on the berserker orc, recovering 74% of his spirit power, which is pretty good for him, and allows him to recover most of what he lost. Seeing one of their most elite warriors taken out like this, the other orcs immediately begin running away, as this is a fruitless endeavor. Ryoga, however, will not let them get away. He uses flesh riding to pin them down, and sends the bone orcs toward them to finish the fight. The rookies look around at all the carnage, but they also wonder how much all of these mana stones will be worth. Ryoga, however, knows that this is the real jackpot. The blood axe the berserker orc was carrying is a rare grade weapon with no restrictions and very high durability. It is an X-forge from refined blood, infused with curse magic, and it boosts the user's strength. The more blood it drinks, the more powerful it becomes. It seems that taking down that orc village was definitely worth the trouble. He gives it to Yuma, who should handle all the loot for him, and Yuma agrees they will also get the magic stones. Ryoga waves him off and goes into the middle of the village, where he finds a large, twisted-looking tree. He speaks to it, telling someone to come out, as he wants to have a little chat. Finding no response, Ryoga sighs and gets angry. If this is how he wants to play it, then they will play it like this. He takes one of his refined bones and smashes it on the side of the tree, making it live with energy almost instantly. Whether it is constellations like Kronos or just ghosts, he wonders if he always has to be aggressive to get results. Sure enough, the spirit inside the tree comes out and demands to know who he is. Ryoga says that he is glad to meet him, magic fighter Kashiwagi Soraku. Kashiwagi asks how he knows his name, and Ryoga asks how he cannot. He is the hero who held the line against the monster wave from the north 35 years ago. Even before his regression, he turned him into an undead and fought side by side. There is no way he would forget. It's thanks to warriors like them that Japan did not fall. There is still a memorial standing to make sure that day is never forgotten. This guy is a powerful house who made a name for himself on the front lines at the start of the Great Calamity. Kashiwagi Soraku rose to fame as a magic fighter, a rare talent possessing the skills of both a martial artist and a practiced mage. Kashiwagi is glad that means he didn't die for nothing, right? Ryoga notes that not everyone's name made it in the history books, and Kashiwagi asks what he is getting at. Ryoga wonders if he remembers Hakugo Naruhito, the submaster of the Aragiri Guild. Kashiwagi immediately remembers that day when Japan was in flames. He requested backup because there are still civilians left in the southern farming district that they need to get out. He called out Hakugo specifically, as he was their handler for that mission. They could not hold out for much longer. Everyone was exhausted already, and the orcs were becoming too much. Hakugo, however, told him that backup is unavailable. They cannot provide any support. That is when Kashiwagi understood he planned to use them as bait from the very beginning, did he not? He lied about the south being safe, just to send them here while they took the easy way through the northern gate. Isn't that correct? Hakugo left, noting, and bought enough time to pull the main force together and slip through the northern gate without much issue. Kashiwagi was boiling with rage. He sent them out here, knowing there were civilians, gambling on the fact that they wouldn't just abandon them. Hakugo told him not to take it too hard. Because of that, Aragiri became the hero who stopped the wave. Naturally, the glory belongs to those who survived. After all, he survives. He is a hero. He dies. Then that's the end. Kashiwagi, in his rage, smashed the walkie-talkie into the ground, and as an orc was taking over a civilian, he charged in and killed the orc with one strike. He stood alone and told all of the other hunters to get the civilians out of here. Before they could protest, he told them to move, as that was his final order. Ryoga explains that the same Hakugo who sent him to his death became a national hero, and every record of him was wiped clean. It is truly a tragedy. He is the one who died, but someone else took all that credit. He can't exactly rest in peace like that, can he? Kashiwagi roars in rage, remembering that day, and notes that if it were up to him, he would definitely come back to life for payback. Ryoga smiles, noting that they have talked enough. They should get to the point. He will help him get his revenge. With this in mind, he pulls out the Dragonian corpse and notes that he has prepared a perfect vessel for his soul. Kashiwagi looks at the vessel and knows that he hadn't even considered revenge in this state. He has one condition. He can use him however he sees fit, but he will absolutely refuse to do anything that would harm the innocent, no matter what it is. Ryoga thinks that he gave him this exact same condition before regression too. It seems that his heart hasn't changed even now, as expected of a true hero. He promises as such. so Kashiwagi agrees to become his undead. Ryoga then acquires ownership of the earthbound spirit Sora Kashiwagi. Before his regression, he possessed a skeleton knight with Kashiwagi, and evolved him into a never-before-seen Hell Knight. Even so, he sometimes wondered what would have happened if he had given him a strong body right before the start. Cronus thinks he straightened this corpse, anticipating things would go this far, didn't he? Now Kashiwagi has become an eldritch dragon, though it's incomplete. He has amazing stats, a bunch of traits and skills, and he can also grow as the soul grows. It will be able to draw out even more power from the corpse. Ryoga thinks that this is incredible. This is a trait he didn't have when he put him in a skeleton knight. He also has the innate trait Magic Fighter, which grants an aptitude for both martial arts and mage classes. It basically carried over from his very soul. He asks how his body feels, and Kashiwagi thinks that it's inferior to when he was alive, but it's not really that bad. Ryoga also sees that he is an incomplete eldritch dragon. Is it incomplete because he only imitated the concept of an eldritch dragon using a cursed formula? Still, it is much better than last time. This should be more than enough. He tells Kashiwagi that they should go, calling him a minion, which really doesn't sit right with him. Ryoga asks what's wrong, and Kashiwagi notes that he is not sure about being called a minion of all things. Ryoga asks if he should call him by his real name then, but Kashiwagi refuses. He threw away his old name a long time ago. Ryoga is annoyed at how much of a pain this guy is. He used to be a guy of few words. Did his personality change or something? Kashiwagi explains that he needs a name that intimidates enemies just by hearing it, but he can't really think of a good one. Ryoga recommends Fafnir, a dragon from Norse mythology, but Kashiwagi isn't feeling it. Ryoga recommends Black Dragon, but Kashiwagi thinks it's too cliché. Ryoga recommends Tiamat, but Kashiwagi thinks that's way too exaggerated for a dragon. Ryoga then notes that Orochi should be fine, becoming increasingly more annoyed, but Kashiwagi is disgusted just by hearing it. Ryoga wonders if he should punch him into submission, but Kashiwagi eventually relents, and notes that the first one, Fafnir, should be fine for now. Ryoga understands and notes that they should go already, but Fafnir stops him again, as he is practically butt-ass naked. He looks around and spots a tent made by the orcs. He pulls off the drape covering the tent and rips it into a loincloth, thinking that this is a bit better. Now they can go. Ryoga just stares at him, confused. Was this guy actually like this in the past too? When he goes back to Renya, he is immediately pretty ecstatic to see that the corpse soaking in their solution is moving. Ryoga tells him that he acquired the soul from the boundary that feeds the corpse. Renya thinks this is amazing and wants to study it for hours. Fafnir wonders if he can punch him, as this guy is creeping him out. As much as Ryoga would like to let him, he is his partner, and he needs his eyes to be good. The rookies speak out, with Yuma noting that they are going back to the shops to sort out the items, and Ryoga understands. They can go ahead. He uses the ring and summons the orc berserker corpse, wondering what he should make with such nice material. Renya is surprised when he sees it and crouches down too, asking what he is going to make next. Ryoga asks if he is curious, and Renya completely denies it. Last time, he thought his arm was going to fall off from mixing those herbs. However, he still gets to mixing herbs, as he can't really suppress his curiosity. Even so, this person always manages to exceed expectations. There is no way he wouldn't be curious about this. Ryoga begins using flesh separation on the orc berserker, and Cronus asks if he is planning to make an undead. Ryoga confirms, as one can never have too much fighting power, right? He takes off all the flesh from the orc, and completes the skeleton, increasing its stats by 100%. Renya then gives him the extract he requested, with the stable quality influencing the skeleton's creation. With that, its traits have been specialized in defense. It seems that he has created a bodyguard of sorts. This is the skeleton guard, an undead with 2 shields and 2 stars for a grade. He tells the skeleton that from now on, whenever he uses life drain, he will guard him. The skeleton nods a few times, and Ryoga congratulates him on his good work. Renya, holding his milling arm, asks why he made a skeleton this time. Ryoga explains that bones have huge advantages too. Not only are they light, but they don't rot without preparation either. Unlike zombies, which have a time limit, as long as he supplies it with spiritual power, he can work these bones exactly as he pleases. Since life drain is a close-range skill, he needed a bodyguard to activate it. Renya is pleased to think he didn't just make a skeleton, but even factor in maintenance. Ryoga notes that he has to step out for a boring errand, so he should keep an eye on this skeleton guy for a while. Renya asks why he is going at this hour, and Ryoga explains that he's going to the Pantheon. His level went up, so they contacted him to come and receive a holy spell. Renya remains silent for a bit, then speaks out, confused. What the hell? A holy spell? What does that even mean? Is he actually some kind of priest? Ryoga notes that he is actually a pretty devout follower, but Renya does not believe it. That's impossible. Even if the world turned upside down, that wouldn't be possible. Ryoga asks if he finished registering the patent for the intermediate healing potion, and Renya confirms that he did. They should be able to undergo the review process soon. The longer they wait, after all, the more rivals will pop up. He is not the type of guy to put things off. The only problem is that the exhibition is not until next year. Ryoga tells him to give him a few potions if that's the case. He will advertise them if he ever gets the chance. Renya does as such, and Ryoga notes that if they succeed, they're going to make an absolute fortune. In the end, money really does make the world go around, doesn't it? Seeing his greedy expression, Renya wonders if this guy really is a priest. Ryoga goes to the Pantheon, which suddenly appeared after the Great Cataclysm. Most of those who visit gather here to receive divine spells and blessings from the constellations, although there are still some peddlers around, mostly offering and such. Cronus doesn't sense any divine presence from the relics, but Ryoga wonders if he would leave something valuable lying on the ground, right? He begins climbing the Pantheon, thinking that they really could do with an escalator or an elevator. This is the path to the gods, which is 108 steps. Even Cronus thinks this is harsh, and Ryoga notes that he won't get struck by lightning if he complains a little, right? He wonders how much farther they are, but from what he's seeing, Cronus thinks that it's just a little more. They should be there if they climb the same amount they've already done, meaning that they're basically halfway there. Ryoga sighs, and notes that if he goes through all this trouble and gets nothing out of it, there is going to be hell to pay for the one who made him come. Eventually, he gets to the top, and sees a bunch of constellations above an observatory. Immediately, the constellation of the Wealthy One opened and showed disgust. The constellation of the one who veils death is suspicious of him, and the constellation of the Lord of Abydos is displeased with his presence. Cronus thinks that this is hilarious, but Ryoga tells him to keep quiet for a second. Cronus understands where he's coming from. Then it's his turn to do what he came here to do, right? He goes up to the observatory thing and puts his finger on it, registering him as the constellation giant of the defiant heavens, and making him a new pantheon. With this, Ryoga has acquired the divine spell, Unholy Blessing, and Wedge of Retribution. Unholy Blessing is a spell that strengthens the target's energy to boost their stats, and Wedge of Retribution is another divine spell. He gains 1 stack of retribution every time he takes damage from an opponent. Reactivation instantly deals damage to the target. Damage increases based on the number of retribution stacks. Cronus asks what he thinks about these, as they are pretty good blessings, and Ryoga agrees. These are actually really nice. Cronus slaps, noting that this is the greatness of an actual god. However, a system window notes that he lacks the divinity of a constellation. To continue shining in the Pantheon, he should please acquire more achievements and praise. The starlight is too weak to attract followers, so he should also raise his divinity. Ryoga points this out, asking if he really is as great as he thinks, but Cronus just wonders who made this trash system. With that, they walk away. But just as Ryoga is about to get out of this entire area, someone comes from behind asking what he is doing coming out of the Pantheon. It has certainly been a while. This is Satake Shigeru. Ryoga wonders who he is, and Satake explains that he took care of him at the orphanage, didn't he? Doesn't he remember Satake? Ah, Ryoga now remembers. He was that piece of trash who was always extorting people, wasn't he? He's pretty sure he remembers busting his nose hard in the past. Has it healed yet? Satake immediately gets annoyed but then calms down, as he lost his cool a little. He recognizes the brooch on his chest, right? He joined the Aragiri Guild. If he is going to the Pantheon, that means he is some bottom-feeding hunter, doesn't he? He shouldn't think this will go the same way as in the past. Ryoga doesn't know. It seems to him like nothing's really changed. Satake gets extremely annoyed now and cocks a punch, noting that he is too cocky for his own good. However, before he can unleash it, someone else stops him. Aragiri's Guild, 7th Attack Squad Captain Rago Jomon. Satake tells Jomon that this guy was annoying him, and Jomon looks at Ryoga, noting that they should settle this with an official match, right? Jomon himself thinks that this guy picked a fight knowing full well they were from Aragiri. He really is a cheeky brat. It seems that he and Satake know each other, do they not? Then why don't they let their fists do the talking? Satake thinks that he has to be joking. This guy recently became a hunter. He would just get pummeled. Ryoga, however, agrees that they should really do it. Or is he still scared of him, perhaps? Satake gets annoyed and tells him that now that he said it, he can't take it back. They go to the affiliated gymnasium of the Aragiri Guild, and both get placed inside an arena. Ryoga explains that he is a priest, so he will be fighting his proxy. Satake says he scored himself a pretty good ability. Is that a summoned beast or something? Well, not that it will do him any good at the end of the day. The system activates, and it measures the defense and HP of the hunters within the area. A barrier will automatically deploy if there is any danger to life, but that will make them lose the match. With that, the match begins. Satake asks what's wrong. He looks like he's about to crap himself or something. but Ryoga wonders what the hell he is even talking about, as he's not reacting at all. Fafnir did not expect to run into the Aragiri guild like this, but he wants to see it, and might as well test out this body's condition while he's at it. Since the opponent is from Aragiri, he will not be holding back. Ryoga understands but tells him not to end it in one hit, as there is something he wishes to test. Fafnir reluctantly agrees, but holding back is the hard part here. Satake charges in with his spear, thinking that he is going to put Ryoga in his place exactly where he needs to be, and lunges forward with his spear. Fafnir jumps up and tries to take him down from above with a punch, but Satake uses his Kareg spearmanship reflexive movement to get out of the way and sidestep the strike before charging in once again with his spear. Jomon is pleased to see this. His reactions are better than they were during training. This is going to end faster than anticipated. Fafnir asks if he thinks an attack that slow is going to land, and simply grabs the tip of his spear before it can penetrate him. Satake tries to yank it back, but the spear simply does not move. Fafnir finds him extremely pathetic, attacking without even considering his next move. In a real fight, he would already be dead. He cocks his fist back, aiming a debilitating punch, but then remembers that he was supposed to hold back, so he decides to karate chop Satake's side. This hurts like hell and makes him fall on his knees. Ryoga thinks that this guy bawled like a baby when he broke his nose back then, but now he just screams for a second. He really has grown up, hasn't he? Satake gets embarrassed and annoyed at this taunt and charges in once again. His bad shoulder be damned. In response, Fafnir slams his foot into the ground, making Satake lose his momentum fully. He also notes that if he keeps using the same move, the opponent will definitely see right through it. He kicks Satake's leg rather lightly, but this is enough to break his bone. Fafnir prepares a karate chop from above, claiming that it's over. As the attack flies toward him, Satake thinks that his life is over, but suddenly Jomon screams at them to stop, clearly annoyed. Ryoga is pleased that it was a faster intervention than he anticipated. With that, the match comes to an end, and Jomon immediately goes to Satake, telling him to wait as he will call a priest right now. Ryoga asks why he is even bothering. He already has a priest here, which is him. Jomon tells him that a 1-star healing spell cannot fix a broken bone, and Ryoga has that much common sense already. Jomon is confused. Then how is he planning to fix a broken bone? Ryoga notes that he will use a mid-tier potion. Confusing, since those things cost millions apiece, don't they? Ryoga notes that he clearly has not heard the news about the successful mass production. Satake gets annoyed that he hasn't heard a damn thing about that, and he is not about to take charity from the winner. He should get lost now. Ryoga pops the cork of the potion, noting that he is trying to help him out here, so he should just take it. He was actually wondering how to market this, so to think he would find a perfect test subject in such a place. He pours the potion over his leg, and the bone completely heals. Jomon really wants this potion now, and seeing Ryoga's satisfied expression, he asks where the hell he even got such a thing. Ryoga thinks that he hooked him, and notes that if he is a captain of Aragiri, he's guessing he's around a 3-star. He wants to duel him. If he does so, he will tell him the source of this potion. Jomon sighs. He still isn't satisfied. Well, if he is going to tell him regardless of the outcome, he has no reason to refuse. Ryoga shrugs that the last match was way too short for him. He wants to go all out this time. With that, the match begins, and Jomon uses Zephyr swordsmanship to unleash attack after attack on Fafnir. Ryoga expected such. It's impressive that he could react to Satake's thrust, but even so, there is a limit to what that massive body can do because of the continuous damage. Defense efficiency is naturally decreasing, and Jomon jumps up, aiming to end the fight. Ryoga, however, is deep in thought. Fafnir's high-speed combat style is a bad matchup for a Dragonian with an infighter's physique. Well, that's why he used the potion as bait to provoke this guy. If he runs into an enemy he can't handle, Fafnir will feel it too. Sure enough, he knows that he will use this fight to get used to this sluggish body, and Ryoga likes that attitude, as expected of his right hand. Then he can't just sit back and watch either. He uses Unholy Blessing on Fafnir, giving him a much-needed boost. The Unholy Blessing buffs undead and debuffs non-undead. All stats of the designated target are increased by 20%. Ryoga is rather impressed by this. And next, he uses Unholy Blessing on Jomon, decreasing all of his stats by 10%. Jomon realizes what this is: a buff for allies, and a debuff for enemies all in one spell. Is this guy truly a 1-star? Cronus asks how it is the new power he has granted him. Ryoga thinks it's not bad at all for a bottom-tier constellation. Before Cronus can react, Ryoga tells him to shut up, as they are in the middle of a fight. Next, he uses Wedge of Retribution on Fafnir, and tells him to go hog wild, which he really likes. That's the kind of order he can follow. As Jomon continues to hit him, Ryoga gains more stacks of Retribution. Jomon thinks that, as a 3-star of the Aragiri Guild, adapting to a stat drop is child's play, However, a 1-star summon is tanking 3 stars attacks and still pushing forward. Fafnir thinks he has to forget his speed-focused fighting from when he was a human. This body is undead, so taking damage won't hinder his movements at all. He won't dodge their attacks and tank them, then force close combat. He charges in, and Jomon tries to block his strike and manages to do so, but Fafnir just pushes it forward and makes the blast go through. Jomon is annoyed that the attack took a chunk out of his HP. There is no way that's a 1-star summon. If he takes another hit like that, he will definitely lose, but he can't. A 3-star of the Aragiri Guild cannot lose to some 1-star trash. He still has the speed advantage, so he charges in. Summoners usually have low physical specs themselves. If he can just close the distance, he can win. He moves past Fafnir and lunges a piercing attack at Ryoga, who doesn't even react, figuring that he would do something like this. With a snap of his fingers, he releases a wedge of retribution, releasing a shockwave generated by the accumulated retribution. With that, Jomon's HP reaches 0, and the fight is over. After that, Jomon is invited to the suite of the Aragiri Guild. In the office of the guild's number 2, the 7-star hunter Hakugo Naruhito asks if he really can produce commercialized mid-grade potions, and Jomon confirms as such. Naruhito asks if he's ever verified their effectiveness, and Jomon confirms they healed bone fractures in an instant. They possess the exact same efficiency as any other mid-grade potion dropped in the gates. He also apologizes for losing. He takes full responsibility for dragging the Aragiri name through the dirt. However, Naruhito is annoyed by this. Why would a captain like him lose and tarnish the Aragiri reputation? The Aragiri name will not suffer any kind of damage just because an eternal 3-star lost. Jomon immediately apologizes. Seeing his expression, and knowing that he got carried away hiding behind the Aragiri name, Naruhito dismisses him, noting that this is enough, and calls his assistant. He tells her to demote Captain Jomon to a regular member, and also take down the source of those mid-grade potions. Furthermore, he wonders if it's possible for a 1-star like this guy to defeat a 3-star. He claimed to be a priest, but did he somehow acquire a divine beast-class summon? He tells his assistant to investigate him too, and she immediately understands. Ryoga thinks that word about the potions should be reaching the higher-ups soon, so he looks forward to seeing how they react. Fafnir approaches him and asks why he has to learn a spearmanship skill book out of all things. Ryoga explains that he is a magic fighter, so he is good at close combat with any weapons, right? He figured it would be best if he learned from him. Fafnir thinks that this is a pain, but still, why spearmanship all of a sudden? Ryoga explains that if things go south in a battle, everyone will be targeting him, right? It's time to train, since it pisses him off. Fafnir just laughed, noting that it's only natural for the weakest link to be targeted. As he is a master who looks weaker than his own right arm, he better drink a lot more protein to bulk up. Seeing that he is amused by this, Ryoga arises his own arm and clobbers him in the head with it. After a while, Fafnir grasps the contents of the skill book. Ryoga is pleased to see that he is a fast learner, and Fafnir throws the book at him, noting that he should commit it to memory as well. This is the Verdian-style basic spearmanship. If he can learn this, he'll be able to learn Death Spiral down the line. Death Spiral is a key skill developed by the British Spear Saint, based on Viridian spearmanship. That's the foundation of it anyway. Normally it's a technique that would not be perfected for a few more years. This, right here, is the true privilege of a regressor, and he will gladly use everything at his disposal. He uses the Viridian-style basic spearmanship skill book, and the skill outline is installed. With this, he mastered spearmanship in an instant, gaining 6 forms in total. Suddenly, Fafnir jumps in the air, noting that, as he expected, he excels at teaching martial arts learned by experiencing them with his own body. After all, he crashes down, shattering the arena below them, and notes that it's time they practice their much-needed training. As Fafnir takes his spear out of the ground, he notes he dodged that pretty well. His movements are not really bad, but he'll never get used to the spear if all he does is dodge, right? Ryoga thinks that if someone suddenly attacks him, it's only natural that he dodges, right? Is he holding a grudge because he hit him with his own hand earlier? Fafnir notes that this is purely educational. This is actual combat training when an enemy is coming at him with the intent to kill. Is he going to beg for his life just because he recently learned the skill? With that, he charges in to continue, and Ryoga tells him to bring it on, using the 3rd form rotational defense to strike Fafnir's spear as he charges in. He has successfully blocked it. Now it's time for the counterattack. However, Fafnir just moves his spear lightly and taps him in the chest, which is enough to drive the air out of him. Fafnir then tells him that taking the first strike doesn't mean it's actually over. He shouldn't let his guard down until the battle is completely done with. Ryoga is confused. He blocked it perfectly, so why did that happen? Fafnir agrees he perfectly succeeded in stopping the first strike, but he needed to properly defend against the second one too, right? Ryoga thinks that he did it right. Isn't this just because he is stronger than him? Fafnir denies such a thing. He probably properly adjusted his strength to match his. Ryoga scoffs, but now he understands. He will go all out from this moment forth. He is not going down as he did previously. He uses life drain, enhancing the physical body using absorbed energy, making his arms much bigger, with his entire body to boot, and uses hilt strike and the fourth form of Viridian swordsmanship. He strikes his spears again at Fafnir, thinking that there is no second strike this time, so now he will counterattack, but Fafnir tells him he's wrong, and suddenly Ryoga finds himself on the ground. Fafnir explains that just now, he only thought about defending against the second strike, and failed to properly block the first one. Ryoga knows he's right, even if he's frustrated, and tells him that they will go once more. With that, they clash spears again, this time, much harder than before, proving that Ryoga will not back down from anything. A bit later, he goes to a barbecue spot with Yuma, who asks what happened to his face. Ryoga doesn't even want to answer, as he got his ass whooped, and notes that a lot happened. Yuma stifles a laugh, and from the ring, Fafnir speaks, noting that he fought against him to the end without fainting. It was pretty impressive. Training him was quite fun. He accidentally put too much strength into it. Ryoga is annoyed. It's not like he enjoyed it because he legally got to beat him, but Fafnir won't really deny it. He should let him know when he wants to quit. Ryoga thinks that he wouldn't have started it in the first place if he thought he was going to quit right away. He can enhance his physical abilities with life drain. However, it would be a waste to just rely on simple enhancement. With increased stats and martial arts under his belt, he can become much stronger than he was before his regression. Seeing his dark expression, Yuma becomes afraid of him and says it's nothing. He also thanks him for the deposit of 15 million in 3 days, which was absolutely amazing. Yuma notes that it's thanks to him as well. He should call on them again if he ever has the chance. Ryoga understands and asks if there is any recent news regarding hunters. Yuma explains that Haibara has been patrolling HunterNet, and what they often hear is that the Hamakura mysterious death incident is still a mystery. They also talk about the Kagoshima Gate and the Hunter serial murders. Ryoga just sighs. It seems like there aren't any incidents that will make him stronger quickly, since he roughly remembers the major incidents that happened before his regression. He was hoping there would be something in the minor ones, but it doesn't seem like it. Yuma also mentions the Forgotten Temple in Gate Wakayama. Ryoga is surprised. Forgotten Temple? Hasn't that place been cleared yet? Yuma explains that Horizon Guild hasn't been able to clear it for almost an entire year, and they say a break is bound to be made. A static gate is fine as long as one thins out the periodically spawning monsters. A fluid gate break occurs when mana density exceeds 100%. Since the gate has entered the critical state, Horizon Guild has lifted their entry restrictions, so even regular hunters can join it now. Ryoga asks if he has heard any talk about major guilds participating, and Yuma confirmed as such. The country's second-ranked guild, Phyonix Guild, and the third-ranked guild, Daybreak, are apparently showing interest in it. Before his regression, the Phyonix Guild obtained an epic great artifact, a dragon-scale armor, and the Forgotten Temple was the exact place where it dropped. Ryoga smiles. The gate being uncleared works in his favor. Learning spearmanship and getting the dragon-scale armor on top of that would be the best possible outcome for him. He tells him to contact the others and tell them to meet up tomorrow. They are setting up tents as well. Sure enough, the next day, they go to the Forgotten Temple gate, which seems like a boss arena more than anything. Ryoga and the two, and Haibara think that this is a massive turnout. Hunters are gathering here from all over the country since Horizon has lifted the restrictions. Yuma wonders if they shouldn't pitch a tent too, but Ryoga denies it. They will be spending their time inside the gates, so they do not need one here. Yuka wonders if it will be alright. They only brought 5 days worth of rations, and Haibara agrees that it is not enough. 5 days is impossible for a gate that Horizon even failed to clear. Ryoga tells him that in 5 days he will finish it. Not a problem. Just then, Haibara's attention gets distracted, and he points out someone. It's Phyonix's next sword saint, Asaka Mirai. Ryoga remembers that Sir Asaka was the one who found the method to clear the gate and obtain the dragon-scale armor before his regression. She was praised as a heavy talent surpassing Phyonix's guildmaster, Morita Takumi. However, she was a tragic genius who lost everything due to an accident during a gate raid. Yuma also points out someone else, Gouda, from the participating Daybreak Guild. This is Gouda Geishin, along with his future alias, Iron Fist. He is a person who became recognized as one of Japan's representative powerhouses. It seems that all of the future celebrities are gathered in one place. Yuma wonders if they will really be able to clear it before they do, but Ryoga tells him not to worry about that. They just need to do things their own way. He thinks that the Forgotten Temple and the dragon-scale armor are his. He gets going towards the gate, despite Yuma's concerns. He knows that they will win.
Thank you for watching. See you next time.